who will watch later. We are so grateful to be back with you. I am one of your lovely co-hosts, as always, Drew, joined by Zach. Hi, Zach.
Hello, Drew. Yes, thank you everyone for watching. How are you?
I'm thriving. This episode was great, except for we did lose two competitors this episode, which was really dramatic, but I'm really excited to discuss it.
Yes, and it was a shorter episode, but it was jam-packed.
It was, absolutely.
So as Drew said, two people were executed this time. So we'll say spoiler alert now. If you have not watched the episode, you might not want to watch this episode. So go watch it first over at Victory House Presents The Mole on YouTube, and then come back and watch us. So
Yes.
Let's introduce our two special guests today. First off, we have Stacy. Hello,
Stacy.
And next, Evan.
Hi.
Hello.
It's so great to get to talk to both of you, but it's also kind of sad because I know Zach and I were both fans of both of you, but we're definitely interested in what you have to say, and we would love to hear some maybe behind the scenes secrets of the episode.
Yeah, it stung getting executed, but going out with Stacy made it just so much. It did not hurt as much because we had so much fun just hanging out together and chatting. We were the cooking team, so
yeah. Which was a highlight of last episode.
A highlight,
if you
absolutely.
have not watched episode 3, I'd get back over there and watch it because they are amazing to watch.
Yeah, you saw the smallest piece of like this entire like chaos that happened to put all that together.
Oh, we definitely are going to have to talk about that then.
Yes.
Yeah. It was at least an hour of serving.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Condensed
It was a lot.
into 2 minutes. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, let's sort of run through this most recent episode 4, and we had another paradigm shift into horror. Zach, are you a horror fan?
A little bit. My partner is not a big fan of horror movies, and I'm one to watch them before bed. So that's like a no-no, especially for somebody that's not a horror fan. So I love me some American Horror Story. I love me some old Jason. I love me some old Freddy. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Sure. Same here. I enjoy horror movies. Stacy, what were your thoughts when you found out that we were going into a horror round in the game?
I also like horror, so I was excited about it. I'm currently rewatching a series that's horror-y.
Evan, what were your thoughts?
See, I like horror, but when you hear like you are going to be a part of the horror round, that's when you're like, this is too real. Like, I'm kind of scared what's going to happen. So it was definitely more anxious this round than other rounds.
Well, I was definitely excited for it. It seemed like some of the previous rounds were based off of specific movies. So for this round to be just like generally open to the genre of horror, I was really excited. But before we actually get into the tasks, we have some talking heads from the contestants. We hear that Joel is still confused about the silver screens after seeing 3 of them.
As am I. I know he was even more confused about the fact that Parker and him should have had the same information as what he thought. So going into that, he was like, I'm not sure how Parker got executed and I got a silver screen. So that's where my mystery still is with all the silver screen, because we're going to get to that at the end here, because some stuff happened there. So.
And yeah, like you said, Joel was confused how Parker left because they allegedly had the same information. But then we also hear from Evan and Sabrina that both of them are like, hold on a second, me and Parker were on the same page. How did he get eliminated, but I didn't? Evan and Stacy, were there any sort of theories going around the house as to the silver screens and how they were being awarded, what they meant?
I don't think everyone was very confused with how like Joel kept on getting it. I didn't have any theories. I mean, once I watched mine, I had a theory on what the clues were, but I only saw my piece. so I wasn't able to piece it all together. And my theory was actually right in the end. So I was happy that I was the only person to like solve what those movies were, but it obviously didn't do me any good. I don't know if Stacy had any theories.
I was completely clueless as to what was happening with the silver screens. And, I didn't get the opportunity to see any, so I didn't even know what was on them apart from what like Joel would tell me. And then trying to figure it out just from, secondhand from him, I had no clue.
And I'm sure you all were like, Joel, you're bullshitting us. Like, what do you mean that you don't know what's going on? Like, of course. Like, he's totally trying to throw y'all off.
Like, what do you
no,
mean
really?
there was a hippo? And
Yeah. Once I saw mine, that's when it was like, oh, Joel is totally telling the truth. Because mine was like wine glasses, like breaking on rocks and then walking down a hallway. It was just completely random clips.
Yeah, I'm sure that I could take the time to try to figure out what they mean, but I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. I like being just as confused as the players are. So here we are. And yes, we have a lot of confusion about why Parker would have left. Obviously, we talked to him last week and he told us it's because he split up his answers among like 4 different people, which is not necessarily the best strategy when it seems like multiple people are onto the mole. But anyways, let's get into our tasks for the episode. We have 3 groups. The first group is 3 people who work the best under pressure. And Evan, you were in that group alongside Lance and Steven. Do you want to kind of break that down for us?
Yeah, so I picked that group. I don't know why. It just sounded kind of fun. And the way they explained it to us was the most horrifying thing of you have to go in the basement. There's going to be a task for you. You have 60 seconds to complete this task. And after 60 seconds, a killer is going to be unleashed and they are going to be hunting you. So in my mind, we had to solve something and it's going to take longer than 60 seconds. And we're going to have to be like hiding under a bed, trying to solve this, like crawling from room to room, avoiding this killer. It was horrifying. So all of us were waiting in a room, us 3, and just talking about it. And that was just the scariest part, like the build up to this actual challenge. Once the challenge happened, do you want me to go into like?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So the 3 different like mini tasks within the task were the rings, having to unlock the cup flipping, and then the solving the riddle. Did you guys get to decide who did which part, or was it randomly assigned? Or
no, when we walked down there, that's when we got our task. So it's just who wants to go now, and so it's completely random. I'm not known for my flip cup, but I mean I did it, so
I was gonna say you did do it within the 60 seconds, and
then made a questionable decision in my mind.
Was it questionable?
So I have written down Evan makes questionable decisions. I was kind of like, okay, you completed the task, go get the money. But then do you want to tell us kind of what your thought process was behind what you actually did?
Yeah, going into this game, I didn't want to be somebody that succeeded everything, because then that's an easy, you can just rule somebody out. So I tried to play the fine line of I would succeed stuff, and then there would be stuff that I would fail. So this was one of those that I wanted to prove that I could do it, but then I wanted to also fail because it would take $10 from the pot, and I thought it would throw me on people's radars, which obviously it didn't. So that's why I didn't want to just stand there and get killed, because that just seemed scarier. So I started to look for the killer in room to room, thinking that they would just be like in a closet, which was also scary, like hunting a killer. And then obviously the killer found me in the end and I died. So
yes.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really know what he's doing, but if he succeeds in this, good for him. So
yeah, there were multiple challenges, which I don't think it shows that I would sabotage or would make it so I don't succeed as much, just so I would be riding that like fine line of just to keep me on people's radars.
And then also in this task, we see that Steven has to unlock these like connected rings, and he ends up not being able to do that. And then we also see that Lance has to search the room for a riddle and then solve it and escape. And he ends up doing that, which ends up with a net total for that group of 0, which is, I guess, not the worst because you didn't lose money. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Stacy, what were your thoughts when you heard from these people about this task?
We didn't really get to see what it is that they had to do, and we didn't know like where the killer was hiding. Yeah, that was a task I had 0 interest in participating in. So hearing that it came out, one was completely successful, one didn't get through the task part and one got killed, that it ended up neutral. I mean, I didn't really have any sus thoughts about that. I was just like, okay, because we've done that in other tasks, come out like neutral. So I was like, it's just another neutral.
Sure.
It was also like 2 a.m. at this point, right?
Mhm.
It was so early.
Oh,
So
okay.
like we're so tired.
Yeah.
And just want to get through the round.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel that. So then we have our second group, which is 3 people who aren't afraid to ask for help. And those 3 end up being Sabrina, Katie, and Josh. And their task is to use clues that the third group that we haven't gotten to provides to piece together a message to call the police for help, because with our last group of 6, which is everyone else, including Stacy, they have to run out in the middle of the night in the pitch black and find these items that are hidden while also avoiding a killer that is roaming around trying to hunt them down and murder them.
Not
So,
horrific
Stacey-
at all.
Yeah. Stacy, do you want to give us a little bit more insight into this task?
Yeah, well, some of the items were hidden in the house, so you didn't have to deal with the killer outside. I had an indoor one. And basically, once you found your item, you brought it back, gave it to the people in the other room, and then they would call it in. Every single one of us brought the wrong one the first time. So we all had to go
Ooh.
back for a second time. So yeah, I thought that was a little odd, but whatever.
So we also see a few confessionals about why is Jamie doing this task? Because Jamie had previously been setting themselves up in tasks that involved sort of intelligence or mental strength. And also Jamie was apparently scared and hesitant to do this task. So a lot of people were kind of like, And then we get into the task and they make quite a few mistakes, but then end up being successful in the end, which kind of threw me off. So I was kind of like, Stacey, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't remember why Jamie chose this task, but I will tell you, and I was really surprised this was not in the episode. There is a moment when I am literally like this far away, just screaming at them, like freaking out. I did the same thing to Dre because he kept trying to take the dang lantern outside. I'm like, the lantern, and yeah, I don't know if, well, I mean, Dre didn't get his second item. Nathan had to go do it because he was so terrified. It's a person in a mask, but okay. And with Jamie, I think Jamie was just like, I have to go outside because this woman won't stop screaming at me. So they had to go finish the task. So I was really surprised that wasn't included because I have apologized in our group thread multiple times for the screaming at them, and then it wasn't even in there.
That's hilarious.
Now from Nathan here.
Nathan's confessional for Jamie was hilarious. Of like, why are you going outside? Huh? But then Jamie was the one who made the most successful trips back and forth. So
yeah,
props to them.
Anyone who's been watching has known that Jamie has been the top of the mole suspect list for both me and Zach for basically since episode 1. So seeing that many sort of like hesitancies and failures in a row, but then to end up being successful, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. We'll
and
see
at
what
like 2 in
happens.
the morning too, where like everybody else seems to be kind of like bogged down, and maybe that's why like Dre was like scared because like maybe he's really feeling it and it's late at night, but like Jamie's like, I'm on, I got this, let's go. I grabbed 2 items, not even 1 but 2.
So Stacy mentioned that she was screaming at Jamie, but there was someone else screaming during this round. Stacy, do you want to tell us a little bit about Audrey during this round?
Well, first of all, none of us knew that that was going to happen. And so when she starts, she was supposed to intimidate the 2 that had to find their items in the kitchen. And when she started that, we're all looking around the corner like, what is happening right now? Because, yeah, that was intense and quite comical.
Who was it that had to go in the kitchen? It was Jeremy, and who was the other person?
I think Nathan's was in the kitchen as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I couldn't remember who the other person was, but I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah.
And then also during this task, we get a cutaway confessional to you, Stacy. And I didn't know if you could expand on this for us, because I don't think you expanded on it to yourself. You were like, I have this theory that because we're changing movie genres every episode, I don't know. So I don't know what did you mean by that?
I don't know. I don't know what I meant by that. Yeah, I have no idea what my theory was.
I have written down Stacy has a theory ?
Yeah, I question that theory too, because I honestly don't know what it was. Yeah.
The mole is just a game of theories, so
Always.
we have a million theories in our mind.
So how much money did you guys end up making during this portion? I didn't write that down.
Pot ended up being $324 by the end of this round.
Okay.
So I don't know how much that exactly made them.
Because we made a lot in the next parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Which we will get to. But something that we missed that we have to jump back to is, Evan, you found a note that was a series of numbers. And do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this was actually my second note that I found. So the first note was like round 1. We were all sitting in the basement and they were explaining the challenge. And in the dartboard, there was like a little piece of paper sticking out. And I saw this and I waited until everybody like started walking upstairs to start the challenge. And it was just Lance and I in the basement. And it was like, well, like Lance isn't moving. So I just like walk up and grab it. And Lance was also like had saw it. So then it was like, now I have to kind of like work with Lance or share this with him. So I think I told him like, I mean, I'll tell you what it says. But that one, so the first note I had to unscramble letters. They were all like, the A equals, D and all mixed up. And that took me literally hours to solve because I could only do it like 15 minutes at a time. I would go run to the bathroom. There's only 2 bathrooms at this Airbnb. So I'd be like in the bathroom on the floor, like solving like 3 words. And then I would go out and try and socialize and then take another 15-minute bathroom break. And I did this like for multiple rounds. And then finally I solve it. And then the second note I actually found during the romance round. And it was when we were running around trying to like set the mood. I was looking for candles for the table and I opened a drawer in like the living room and there was a note. And I thought it was actually going to be the same note because like production would put duplicates so that, twists get revealed. But it's actually different. And it had a whole bunch of numbers and I actually didn't solve it. And I tried to bring it I was working with Steven at the time and I brought it to him and shared and like, do you know how to solve this? And he didn't have any idea. So it wasn't until after I got eliminated that I shared it with some people and they're like, oh, it's probably this. It was like, if you look at, your phone and like the numbers. So like if you did it like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
that's how it worked.
Fun.
Wow. Interesting. And
You
still,
also-
here
sorry.
you are. Sorry. You got 2 clues and still here you are. Go ahead, Zach.
Yes.
I was going to say, you also mentioned that you had a theory on the sticker theory.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about the stickers.
Well, because in season 2, in their books, or maybe it was 1, they had like random letters, and like they pieced them together to get a clue. So I found stickers in my book, and the back, and it was like, they're not just gonna put stickers for no reason, and these are stickers that look like Jokers. So I had my theory that maybe I could play this as a Joker, and I could turn any object I wanted to into a Joker. So I talked about I wanted to steal people's stickers, but I actually tried this theory. I tried it in the romance round, and I stuck it to a water bottle. I tried to give it to production, and they're just like, what the hell are you doing? This is a piece of trash. So that sticker theory did not work out for me, but I thought I was pretty smart trying it.
You pulled an Adam Klein, and that's okay.
Yeah, I tried.
Comment from Brent. Evan, gone too soon. You were a lot of fun. You too, Stacy. Just don't show your journal to every Tom, Dick, and Harry next time.
Yeah. All right. So after our, I guess, main task of the round, we go to this blindfolded task. Stacy, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
5 minutes in hell.
Yes.
So we had to go down in the basement in like the media room and sit blindfolded for 5 minutes while people screamed and touched us and like made all these noises. And, you know, if you left the room, then you lost, you know, money didn't go in the pot. But if you stayed, I think it was $5 a person.
It was.
Yeah, it was a lot for as many people as that were still in. So, yeah, we just had to sit there. So
Which they did this challenge the previous 2 seasons, so I was kind of expecting it. But in those, you had to balance like a cup on your hand and just stand there. So I was kind of surprised that it was so easy. So that's why so many people lasted.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I would have not thrived in this challenge. I do not want to be, first of all, do not yell at me. Second of all, do not touch me because you're going to get smacked if I'm blindfolded and you touch me. I don't know. But anyways, we start this challenge and someone on production is going around whispering in people's ears, hey, take your blindfold off and go upstairs if you want to learn a clue about the mole. And we see that eventually through this 5 minutes that Nathan and Steven, I believe, both take off their blindfolds and leave the room only to discover nothing. Or in Nathan's case, discover a sleeping production member, which was
Not
hilarious.
a dead production member.
That was a great little side confessional from Nathan. I loved that. That was amazing. So it looks like 10 people ultimately stayed, which is another $50 in the pot, which was great. And then how much time did you guys get between this task and taking the quiz?
I feel like it got faster as the rounds went on because we got like, I would say like 30 minutes or so usually each round because we would do confessionals. So it'd be like you had 4 people in your confessional block. So like the production would cycle through them. So you'd have plenty of time to kind of study up your notes. Since it was so late, it might have been, 15 minutes or so.
Very nice.
And we also learn that the quizzes this time will be done in pairs facing each other, but not in pairs in terms of teams, just 2 people taking them in the same room facing each other. Now, for the 2 of you, did that change anything for you?
it didn't for me. I don't know. I got cocky this round and kind of went all in. So I memorized everything. And I think I was done in like 20 seconds. I was like, done. And yeah, so.
I think for me, I came into this game trying to want to be kind of funny, be a character. So during my quizzes, I would talk through what I was thinking. So it just made it so that I couldn't, play to the camera as much since I had Jamie sitting across from me.
Sure. So another thing, real quick, jumping back, Evan, you hatched a little scheme that you wanted to try with Lance. Do you want to go into that a little bit and explain that to us?
Yeah, so everybody was starting to, converge on the same person, which is bad. So season 2 that happened, and it was like the entire like final 7. It was just strictly based on time because everybody knew who the mole was. So I like was desperately trying to lead people astray from that. So Lance and I were on kind of separate sides of the house. We each had our own little group of people. And so I gave him information that he could potentially use to lead some of his friends astray. And we had a very, like, I don't know, heart-to-heart talk of, like, he knew that he needed to do this because he also agreed that they shared too much.
Yep.
But I could see that it, like, pained him even thinking about doing it. I was kind of happy that I actually did see him, like, pull some of his strategy, some of his, like, coalition aside and actually tell them. So I was like, I did that. Like, I convinced him to turn on his friends. But it was for the good of the game. Obviously, it didn't work out.
For you,
Nobody believed anything that I gave him, but I think there was a fun storyline there at that point. So
I liked it. I thought it was creative. I mean, why not?
Yeah, we were doing this whole like play bickering the entire time. So it was fun to like, let's unite together and make something happen.
Brent says everyone thinks it's Jamie at this point. Yes, from confessionals, it appears like everybody believes it's Jamie at this point.
Yeah. So we get to our execution and we are told, of course, we knew from the beginning that it would be a double execution. And then we also find out that the silver screen this time will be after the execution. I'm assuming that's because so many people got the silver screen.
I would guess so. That
would be my guess too, because they were like immune from.
Right.
Well, but they weren't immune. I think that might have just been a production thing of, because I don't think the people that got the silver screen were actually immune. So that's when they started. I think after this episode, they started always doing it after, just so that they would have to stay and see their screen first.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sure.
There were 8 people.
There were 8 people who got the silver screens, right? Which was very interesting. I think I'm trying to. Steven wasn't on the list. Steven didn't get to see it. I don't remember who else.
It would have been Steven, Stacy.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, then I guess we weren't immune. Oops.
Yeah. But
Lance.
8 people got it, which is crazy. Joel gets another one. And Joel finally had his moment of, y'all see what I've been dealing with? And everybody's kind of like, oh, okay, got it. And then we get a quick sneak peek into next week where we transition to sci-fi, which will be very interesting. I'm pretty unfamiliar with the sci-fi genre as a whole, not particularly what I watch. So I'm very interested to see what Carlo and the crew come up with. But let's talk about why you guys think you got eliminated. Obviously, without telling us who the mole is, Evan, what do you think your sort of downfall was?
I know, so previously I was splitting pretty evenly between everybody, but then since everybody started going towards a single target, I probably did like 70% that direction and 30% kind of sprinkled around. It's not shown in the episode, but I actually tied and I lost on time, and I lost by less than a second. It was to the 10th of a second that I got eliminated just because I hit it just a millisecond slower than somebody else. So I was so close, but that's the mole.
That's crazy.
And
Stacey,
fun fact, the clip of me getting executed isn't actually the clip of me getting executed. That was actually Jamie seeing their screen. They saved Jamie and I for last. So once we saw Jamie got a green screen, that's when you see me wave and everyone's clapping for Jamie. And then, so I was surprised they didn't actually show me getting my red screen because I think I just started laughing. But,
Yeah, when they showed that the first time I watched, when they showed your name going in and the screen going red, I was like, why is Stacy clapping? I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was like all like golf claps.
Yeah, that's interesting to know. And Stacey, do you know sort of where you went wrong?
Yes, I don't think I was splitting enough at that point. Up until I had been, splitting amongst 2 or 3 people, and then I didn't do hardly any. So yeah, that was my downfall.
Brent also wants to know how people are getting the silver screen.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't
We're trying
know.
to figure out. I have kind of a theory this time, judging by the people that did go. Nathan wanted to correct. His name was mistakenly on the list. He did not go this round.
What's your theory?
So Sabrina, Josh, and Katie were all a part of the group that did complete their tasks, which I feel like there's a point system of some sort that production has of how well you do in the challenges is who gets the silver screen. And this time I feel like they were all kind of on a level playing field in the point system. So all of them got to go. I'm still going to stick with my point system.
Okay. Good theory.
That's interesting. I was thinking also maybe it could be performance-based because Joel has done so well in everything in past episodes. My theory last week was that the mole picks every week who gets to do it. And I feel like obviously it's clues to like the mole's identity or whatever. So if the mole's kind of picking like, oh, this person wouldn't figure it out, I'll pick them. And maybe they just really doubted Joel, but picking 8 people to go is crazy. So I think that theory might be kind of out the door. Performance-based, I think is a good guess. But speaking of guessing, let's quickly talk about Zach and I and our mole predictions, and then we're going to go back and discuss some things that happened in previous episodes with Evan and Stacey because I have lots of stories that I would like to hear. So, Zach, what are your thoughts?
I have naturally Jamie at the top of the list.
Sure, obviously.
I went back to Jeremy this time because I was hearing a lot about Jeremy this time. I can see where it could be.
Sure.
I've added Lance this time just because it seems as though maybe the people that were getting close to the mole, i.e. Lance, are now dropping off. So I'll keep him there, and then I have Dre as like an alternate.
Sure. Okay. From an editing standpoint, I guess I could maybe see Lance as the mole, considering we got a lot of Lance in the first episode, and then since then it's been kind of like Lance is a background character. But I don't know. I don't see Lance being the mole. I have Jamie obviously as my number 1. Since episode 1, I have thought Jamie. And then my other 2, I have the same as last week. I have Josh and Dre. Just because I don't know. I just feel mole energy from them. I don't know. That's what I have to say about it. So I guess we're obviously both still on the Jamie train, and then both of us have Dre. So we'll see. Last week you said Jamie, Evan, and Stacey. So
I did. So let's see if that's my kiss of death.
Maybe every week your mole guest will be eliminated next week.
Well, then Jamie needs to go because I've said it every week.
If Jamie gets eliminated next week, I will be shocked.
I mean, Brent's been still watching right now. So Brent's saying it's not effing Jamie. I'm telling you now. Steven is the mole. Take it to the bank. That is Brent's theory.
could see Steven being the mole. I think I had him on my list a couple of weeks ago because I don't know, he's been quiet recently, which I guess the mole would want to stay quiet still through the early game maybe, but if everybody's coming to the same conclusion that it's Jamie, then maybe it is Jamie, but I guess we'll see.
Time will have to tell.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens next week. We got 2 heavy hitters out of the game now, so these other people are going to have to step it up for the cameras. I need to be entertained, and we just lost 2 big entertainers. So, all right. So we talked about the kitchen task and the cooking task that both of you were involved in episode 3. I would love to hear more of that chaos.
Well, we were basically just told we needed to serve a meal to the winners of each of those other tasks and Ryan and Audrey. So, okay, we're going to make a meal. But the issue was like everyone's food was labeled. You weren't supposed to touch other people's food. So we're trying to figure out what in the kitchen we can use without, pissing people off that we're taking their stuff. So that's why we came up with like, okay, the grilled cheese, that there's no labels on these items. And so we're just trying to like forage basically, and we weren't informed of any dietary restrictions. We knew someone was vegetarian, so that's why we went with the grilled cheese route. Wasn't informed about the lactose problem. So and then like we all went into the laundry room, which is near the kitchen, and kind of like hashed out how we were going to do everything, how we were going to meet all of our tasks. And yeah, we just kind of
and we
went
kept
from
adding. There. It just kept on building because it started out as grilled cheese, and then it was like, let's do a plate of crackers, and let's do like carrots, and let's do ice cream, and let's get candles and tablecloths and wine. Yeah, we just stole anything we could find to be able to put on this whole performance of a show. So it was just so much fun. And I remember in that, that's where I started to really suspect Jamie, because I was Jamie was not cooking the grilled cheese. Like the oven, it was on, but it was like on so low. And I'm like, why don't we just do the grilled cheese, all of them in the toaster oven? And they just kept on doing their thing. And I was like, we're not going to have food. We're going to be serving these people just plain bread and cheese and like not actually grilled cheese. So like, step it up, Jamie.
That is hilarious. Stacey, whose wine did you end up stealing to serve?
I still have no idea. I don't know. They weren't upset about it though, whoever it was, because no one said anything. So,
Zach, you are muted.
Of course I am. It was all in good fun anyways, so yes. I'm sure that they couldn't get that bad.
And you guys almost completed your task.
Okay. We were robbed. It was we did so good. Yes. I was so proud of that. It was so much fun working together and just putting on a show.
I mean, we plated everything, so it was like nice to look at. For like the grilled cheese, I did like a swirl around the edge of the plate with mustard, and
it was a big performance because we all like kept on like walking in a circle, and like so one person would do the tablecloths, and the next person would drop the silverware, and the next person would put a plate, and the next person would put the food, and we just kept on like circling, doing all of our jobs.
See, so there's mole activity in there.
Carlo, give us the unedited footage of dinner service. We want to see it after the season. Please.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I know my accent changes at one point.
Yes.
On accident. Amazing. I think I went British for a minute.
I did argue with Ryan about the cookies, so I want to see that clip. That was such a funny moment, and it didn't make it.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably my favorite task that has been done in the season so far, because when you guys are having fun, it's fun for us to watch, but still knowing it's a competition, amazing. Plus, having to steal other people's food is just hilarious to me, that the people not involved in the task were completely unaware until afterwards.
Yeah, they could just hear the laughter and wonder what the heck's going on.
Right.
The carrots.
This is a great question here. Would you guys play again?
Oh, absolutely. I would
Yeah,
100% play again.
I've already pitched of Stacy and I should come back and at least judge another cooking challenge.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
season 2.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think we both have more to prove. So
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for second chances.
Absolutely. Like I told Parker last week and Michelle the week before, see you both on All Stars.
Yeah.
For like season
Just-
4 or 5.
We talked about they should just bring our entire cast back for the Mole 2.
Mhm.
Just do it again.
Just redo it.
Just
The
redo it.
Mole 3.5. Yeah. Would you guys be interested, either of you, in playing as the mole?
I think, I might give it a shot, but I have a very expressive face that
Same.
sometimes says a little more than I want it to. So, if I could get my face under control, maybe I could do it.
Just wear a mask the whole time.
Right.
I was actually, it wasn't official, but I was pretty much the backup mole that if the mole didn't show up, they would let me know. So I'm always ready to play the mole. I've done it in online games. I know I could do it here. I apparently did it really good because even though I was sabotaging so much, nobody suspected me. So
I was gonna say you played as the mole and you weren't even the mole. So
yeah, I wasn't even suspected. So rigged, robbed.
Well, next week we have another shift, and we shift to the theme of sci-fi, and we are going to have a guest appearance by the Artificial House Maintenance and Execution Program, otherwise known as AME.
yeah.
I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Very excited here.
We also saw a clip of the two of you on a staircase, so I'm very
Yes.
interested to see what that entails.
You'll see us in multiple
Yes.
challenges, and anytime you see us, it's just the most hilarious thing ever. Like everybody's just it's so much fun.
That I would
Yeah.
expect nothing less.
Cannot wait.
Let me think. I had another question, but I don't remember what it was. Zach, do you have another question for them while I think? Or anybody who's watching have a question?
Yeah, we've got a few viewers that are watching right now, but
Do I have any fun facts?
I was gonna ask if there's any like stories or anything funny or interesting that happened during one of the first 2 episodes that we missed.
I think the first episode, the tribute, where you had to have people volunteer, I had my strategy of I convinced everyone that I was going to sabotage it and do as like bad as I could on the quiz. And obviously I wasn't going to try and make other people volunteer and hopefully send somebody home. I learned after the game, I had the second worst quiz score. So I was so close to having the worst anyway, but it would have been just hilarious if nobody volunteered and I got Drew and I had to go home because of that. But I tried my hardest on that quiz, even though I did so bad. I was splitting as much as I could.
We are hearing in these recaps a lot of interesting things about the quizzes. I believe Michelle told us that her elimination was also a tie. And then what you just told us about episode 1, about how you had the second lowest score. And then you told us earlier that this episode for you was a tie, and it came down to less than 1 second. So we're learning lots of fun things about the quizzes, which is
Parker
good to know.
also said that. I think a lot of them do come down to time in a little bit. So
got to speed it up if you're going to go out and play.
that's right.
I know time wasn't my issue. Mine was answers.
Sure. Stacy, any fun moments that weren't shown on camera for the first 3 episodes?
It was a while ago.
Sure. When was this filmed?
It was in March.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Stacy. What is your Wizard of Oz sweatshirt from? That you're always
that's
wearing
Tundra
right now?
Call.
Is it?
Yes.
Love.
Pay your dancers, Todrick. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, yes. It was great to see both of you play. I'm very excited to see both of you in future episodes as background characters. I don't know. I don't know how else to phrase it.
We're the main
We're the
stars.
characters.
Yeah.
Right, because I was just gonna say, because you're both so entertaining, and like I said, with both of you going out in the same episode, we lost a lot of entertainment value at minimum, and Evan, a lot of scheming, Stacey, a lot of big personality and snarky comments, which is gonna be missed. But we'll see you both on All Stars in 2 seasons anyway, so it'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, one of you has to play, so then you can join us.
We'll see. I mean, it films in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, so
I don't know. I've thought about it because Evan, you know, I'm on Michigan Mole Production, and I've sat there watching you guys play, and I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do something like this. Even watching all of the strategies, you know, from all the different points of views, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. So I don't know. You might have given me a little bit of confidence boost to try out. So.
Yes.
Zach and I can play as the twin twist.
Right.
But yes, so we will be back next week, probably again on Thursday around the same time. And we will be with next week's executed player, hopefully. Hopefully it's someone that I find less entertaining than the two of you. But yeah, any closing thoughts, Evan or Stacey?
It was just so much fun. So I'd highly recommend anybody watching that if you like the mole, go apply.
Definitely.
Just have fun with it. If you have played online games, playing a live mole game is so much different. Be prepared to take crazy amounts of notes, because that was the most surprising thing. It's like you're just constantly taking notes of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So just go apply and have fun with it. It's a blast. You'll meet some great people.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's the biggest takeaway of the amazing people that you meet in these games. And so this is my first go around with a mole. Yeah, go out, apply, try it, get out of the comfort zone.
And Stacey, it's so good to finally talk to you, like not in person, but like face to face on a screen at least, because I've been a fan of you for a while and wanting to meet you. So happy to have. And then Evan, it's great and wonderful to see you again. Sorry that it's in this circumstance. I would have rather seen you much later at the end, but
Same.
Yeah, I've been huge fans of both of you since 4 weeks ago. And so it's been great to talk to you. Thank you again, everyone who is watching live and interacting in the chat. And thank you for everyone who will watch this when we're not live.
thanks, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful night. And thank you, Evan and Stacey, for joining us again. Thank you, Drew, for being my co-host. Have a great night.
See you next week.
Bye.